Parashah Vayichai is the last parashah in the book of Genesis. Now remember, we're going through the book of Genesis and we're seeing how Christ is fulfilling everything constantly in every single way, getting things ready for the final redemption. You see, when the Lord created this world, he created it for man to inhabit and to have dominion over and enjoy. Now, dominion doesn't mean to abuse. It just means to stewardship and have a caretaking aspect and just kind of like a groundskeeper and to enjoy this blessed place. But remember, man sinned and he fell. And that fell also led to the curse, which is what we're experiencing right now. This world, if you just watch the news, you see it's cursed. There's tons of things going wrong. But yet God says, have hope, because I'm going to redeem you from this world completely. And he started with his own son who shed his blood on the cross for us. So it all began here in this book of Genesis, which means the book of the beginnings. As it says, Bereshit, the beginning, in the beginning. So now we're at the final section of Genesis, and then we go into Exodus, or also known as the book of names, Shemo. But before we go into that, we see the final aspects of Jacob, who is now called Israel, and his son Joseph, and also the other sons, making up the 12 tribes of Israel. So what does he do? Jacob, before he dies, he blesses the sons of Israel and gives them a prophecy for the final days. He actually says, come near to me and I'll show you what's going to happen in the final days. There's a massive messianic prophecy, a prophecy about when the Messiah will come. And we're going to cover that. But I want to also cover just this aspect of finality before it all ends for Jacob, who is now called Israel, governed by God, which is also a messianic trait, because Jesus says, I always do the things that my Father tells me or that please my Father. He's saying, I'm controlled by my Father. I always do the things I see him doing. This trait is what God instilled upon Jacob, who was always fighting. He said, now you're going to be governed. You're going to be ruled by God. And that's what you're going to be known for. And this nation is going to be known for this too, when they follow me in totality. That's why Christ came to the Jews first, actually. He came to the nation of Israel first, because they were sort of this leadership nation, spiritually, in so many ways. Financially, they became extremely powerful during David and during Solomon, these kings that we're going to see in the future. And then spiritually, there's no doubt about it. Paul says, what advantage does the Jew have? Well, he has an advantage in every way. He was given the law. He was given the priesthood, which was the priesthood of God, the only one God really accepts because it's modeled after the kingdom in heaven. And we're going to go through this priesthood later in the next books as well, because God's going to not only give this people its heritage, which he's done in Genesis, starting with Jacob, Abraham, and Isaac, Jacob's father, giving them this heritage. He's going to also give them actually not just that lineage, but he's going to give them the heritage of the law and the Torah and the priesthood, which Christ fulfilled. The Mashiach came to fulfill all these things. It wasn't going to be just about the past. The past was going to have a foreshadowing of what was going to be in the future, which would be walking with God, the Messiah, Jesus, Yahushua. Now, so before Jacob dies, he wants to bless the 12 sons of Israel. There's a lot of we can say about these blessings. Judah has a very powerful one. And what I want to focus on is the fact that Christ, before he died, basically blessed the 12 disciples. Remember, he had 12 students. Back then, a rabbi would have students. They would watch everything he did and listen to everything he spoke. And what does Christ do before he dies? In John 13, it says, he knew all things were going to be given to him. And so what does he do? He removes his robe, which he had as like his rabbinic or outfit showing his authority, which they would also gamble for the soldiers that basically were crucifying him, showing that this robe was some type of authority or some type of blessing that he had. Remember, Joseph also had a robe of many colors. It's the same type of thing. It shows God's love and favor. Well, remember, Jesus took away this. It says he wrapped a towel around his waist and washed the feet of the disciples and gave them new commandments and blessed them. Now, this is so powerful because Jacob is doing this as well. And one of the promises that he gives to Judah, his son, says, a lawgiver will not depart from Judah, from this tribe of Judah, that's going to come from you until Shiloh comes. And to him, Shiloh will be the obedience of the people. So what he's saying is that the scepter and the lawgiver will never depart from you, Judah. You'll always be so powerful until the Messiah comes. Shiloh means the tranquil one, the peace giver. Jesus is known as the Prince of Peace. Until this one comes, the seed. Remember, we've been speaking of this seed from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And from Eve, this seed that was promised in Genesis 3 is going to come and crush the head of Satan. And how does he crush Satan's head? Through truth and through a scepter, through his power and his authority reigning on earth. And he does this coming through the line of Judah. Now, Jesus was from Judah. He was from the tribe of David and the house of David and the tribe of Judah. He's known as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And he was proven to be this because both his parents were from Judah, and it was even registered within Rome back then, because Caesar Augustus commanded everyone to be registered during the time when Christ was to be born. So it's a solid known fact that this was what was happening back then, and that he was of this tribe. Now, what does this mean, though? A lawgiver will never depart from Judah. This means that he has, from his tribe, the authority to give capital punishment to anyone who breaks the law, which is what Israel would eventually have within their legal structure. Anyone who breaks the Torah and the laws, there is capital punishment. But this was all taken away during the time of Christ, actually. You see, a lawgiver was taken from Judah when Rome said, no more capital punishment is allowed. You guys, you Jews or Judeans aren't allowed to commit capital punishment apart from our authority. And when this happened, the rabbis and the people of Israel were freaked out, thinking, Shiloh, the Messiah hasn't come. How can this be? This is an ancient prophecy. The Messiah hasn't come, and yet the scepter has departed from Judah. But what they didn't realize was that Messiah was about 6 to 8 years old during this time, looking at it within the BC AD structure. He was about 8 years old, and Shiloh had come. So be blessed and know that the Messiah has come, and this is a massive prophecy. And nowadays you can talk to any Jew and say, hey, where's Shiloh? Where is the Messiah? The lawgiver has not come. The scepter's departed if you don't believe that Jesus is it. So be blessed and be those people that are at the feet of Jesus, receiving his law. He reinterpreted the law, making it even stronger, and purified the law and the understanding of the law when he came and spoke on the Mount of Olives, saying, you have heard, do not commit adultery. But if you lust in your eyes, you've committed adultery in your heart. You've heard, do not murder. But if you have hatred for your brother, you've committed murder in your heart, and you deserve punishment for this. It's the same thing spiritually with the Lord. So the lawgiver, Jesus, he is the one who we are commanded to obey. I hope you were blessed with the Genesis section, and I pray that you're also blessed even more as we go into Exodus and study Moses, who is a big type of the prophet to come, who is the Mashiach. He said, a prophet like me will come. So we're going to enjoy Moses and see so much in him that is seen in our Messiah, Jesus, the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings. Amen.